Hey, quick shopping spree. So Star Labs, there's some work going on there where we're trying to essentially build a substrate for an explicit geometry world model. Right, really cool stuff. The substrate is basically just meant to be a physics and view Gaussian, but the issue there is that when we're trying to actually see how well this substrate performs, we're trying to evaluate it visually. Where it's like, okay, we drop a ball in this digital world and see how well it bounces. But then, what do you actually use as a comparison? Because like there's only so many videos on YouTube of actual stress testing of these substrates or these physical tests, right? So what I've realized now is that I've really just been like I just been vibing. It was like, okay, that looks like a proper ball bounce. That doesn't look like a proper ball bounce. That looks like a proper fracture and whatnot. But I think as I'm really looking to finish this substrate off to a good point where I can start touching on like the evolution side of like, oh, how can you train the model to learn the continuum mechanics of it and how to evolve it to do certain stuff. I've began to wonder like how well has my intuition been. And then I went to shopping spree. I went on shopping spree today to actually get materials to test it out. So I have this duck over here as a representation of rubber, just to see how well that performs. I have some off-brown Play-Doh from the Dollar Tree nearby. Let me open this real quick. This was actually surprised me because for the longest time now I've just been dropping like the slime, which is different from Play-Doh, but I've just been dropping the slime and then just splatters. But then with this, if you actually see this here, there's a lot of fracture in between. You actually squish it, like when you actually apply pressure to it. So that's something I haven't accounted for, and that's something I have to actually look into. I have some sponges over here, so that's some more porous. I think that's the word material, some strings, my favorite, an actual bouncy ball, which is funny because for the longest time, now when I've been actually work with the bouncy ball in my system, it's been much more elastic. So like when it actually bounced, right, like it would like you could see the effects like ripple through the whole body. But with this, when it actually bounces, like it's very little stretch on the ball, right? So maybe if I apply more physical force, I guess, but even then, unless you're like drawing a cartoon, there isn't much effects. So I had to really account for that. But I don't think the laws I made or the way I represented it in the system is necessarily wrong. I think I can just adjust some parameters so it then better reflects a real ball. I also have some toothpicks over here to see what fractal would actually look like. I have what do I have? I think I have like a car over it. Yeah. This is more so meant initially my body was thinking of okay, like a rigid body. Like how do I actually represent like even though all these are rigid bodies, how do I represent something like a metal, right? Like dropping, because that's not gonna really bend, it's not really gonna bounce a bunch. But then when I actually got it, I was thinking this is actually a good representation of a multi-material body because then you can see this is more of like a metal and this is more I want to say plastic but I'm not necessarily sure but the thing is because it's multi-material it has different effects. It's not just going to act like as if one material. So that's something I could think about maybe for a future paper. I know I was talking about this the other day with a multi-layered approach to a generation where you got imagine like an arm, you have like some hair here, you have some skin, you have some flesh, you have some bone, right? So imagine something like that. If you can really get that to work, then that really helps a lot. That propagates a lot into future work. Um, but I think that's really great. But I actually think the best investment I have right now in terms of Star Labs work is actually something I've been wanting for a while now. This iPad over here. So for like the past 2 years, yeah, 2 years now, I've been wanting an iPad because I like taking notes physically, right? It's not bad. I think it's actually way better to in terms of studying at least, it's way better to take physical notes than digital notes. But I think in terms of having a large a large amount of material you have to retain for a longer period of time. Digital is just the winner. I haven't had that for a minute, so having an iPad now, I think is definitely going to help. I think if the printing press advanced society, I think the iPad can help with my research a bit. So I'm really excited about that. But I also have a digital pen. I'm getting another one tomorrow because this is a borrowed one. Um, but then tomorrow I have like the full set. Plus, I also have a case for this so I can actually take it out. I think the next thing, in terms of the iPad, if I can set up my I actually kind of already did it. I have my OpenClaw agent set up on my Discord server. So if I just set up Discord on this iPad, I can be working with my agents to get some work done while I'm away, and I can also just be using my iPad to take notes on other stuff. So that's gonna be really great in terms of allowing me to be more location free. I'm also really excited about these materials I have on my desk because now I think I can properly gauge how well I'm performing or how well the system is performing um, in regards to modeling actual materials. Yeah, honestly don't know what else I have to say. In terms of deadlines, technically, I've really missed a lot of the express posted. Like, just for context, the Gaussian Flush paper gone to C3PR, so I'm 4D Vision Workshop. Yay, thank God. But with these posters, one thing, posters are really expensive, but you also have to put a poster in advance for it to be ready for the conference. And they're like, they have different deadlines. So like if you did on May 12th, maybe you had to pay like $80. If you did it like May 20th, you have to pay like $90. If you did past then, you have to pay this amount of money. So now the final deadline for printing with the conference is May 29th. So really for myself, I'm really trying to get a lot of progress done with Gaussian Flush by May 29th or like by May 26th. I want to say or May 27th, May 28th, really. And then I'll just get. I already have a poster template ready. Yeah, because a while back when I was applying for SIGGRAPH, I thought SIGGRAPH was asking me for a poster design when I was actually just asking for an abstract, which makes way more sense. But I'm just gonna use that poster template and then just information. But the reason I'm even trying to work towards that deadline is because with a work like this, even though it is fine as is and there's a lot of improvements that can be made, but like it still justifies its existence. I think if I can make the right improvements, I think it'll be a much better work and it'll be able the insight I'll get will be much better than um some first step insight where it's just like, hey, have you thought about including some baselines? Have you thought about doing this? Like I really want to get into the core aspects of like, okay, what is something I'll really get this thing to the full subject I really want. I think to even get that to even um to even get to an area where that insight is drawn out of people, I have to improve this work by a bit, right? So I'm really hoping actually having something to compare against would help. Even looking at physical arts, I think they actually do it pretty well in terms of how the materials model actual materials in the real world. So I think maybe they have something going on there. But for myself, I think I was a bit too cartoony with it. So and I have actual physics to back me up. But yeah, the only other thing I have to say is that besides all of this work, what I really plan to do with this new iPad I have here is really just dig into continuum mechanics. I don't plan to become an expert. I more so plan to study as if I'm studying for a final, right? Like I very often remark to myself that studying isn't that hard because if you look at the past finals, thank God I've managed to do well. But if you looked at it, the amount of time I actually gave myself to study, right? Even accounting for prior knowledge wasn't that much. So I feel like treat it if I treat studying for this or learning about this in a similar fashion, I think I should be able to make a lot of progress and be able to understand the work and where I need to go much better or better. Besides that, though, I have nothing else to say. So have a great day.